I'll start off. I think that today was a good day. The guys were, wrapping up our second day before we get into tomorrow's red zone practice. We had some amazing weather, and it was something that you like to see as coaches. There was really good energy. The guys were out there playing hard, and I think you could kind of feel it. And we talked about having purpose when you're out there and doing things the right way. And that part was really good. So I'm excited about that and looking forward to wrapping it up tomorrow.
Dan Weeder.
Matt, I know there's been some internal optimism about Kindle Vildor and where he can head. Obviously, he's made a few plays here early in minicamp. I'm curious from your standpoint on the offensive side, what you're seeing and how he's flashing to you.
Yeah, he's definitely flashing. And I think, Dan, the more every play you get, every rep you get a little bit more experience, a little bit more confidence, and you can play faster. The stuff that goes on the offensive side of the ball slows down for you, and your reactionary skills are better. And then what I think you see is you start seeing a lot more of what we saw on tape at Georgia Southern and where he was. And then I also, he's becoming more vocal too, Dan, and these rookies come in last year and they don't meet a lot of guys, and they're coming in, and he came in backing up some guys, and now he's a little bit more vocal, and you're seeing him let his personality show. So that's a big plus for us right now.
Jason Leisure.
Matt, you guys are going on a year plus now with Allen Robinson and his contract being uncertain. What do you think of the way that he has handled himself as a professional in the middle of being in a dispute with the organization?
Well, he's been an absolute pro. And, I think that he understands that in sports in general, he's not the only one that goes through these type of situations. And it just goes to show who he is, being able to show up here in mandatory camp. And it shows what kind of teammate that he is and what the game means to him. We know that, we understand that, we appreciate that from him. And I think that if you would ask his teammates and you would ask his coaches and you would ask the rest of our organization, support staff, personnel department, and Ryan Pace, we would all agree that that doesn't surprise us that he's here. He's just a really good person that cares a lot about winning, and we appreciate that.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, I know you had great respect for Chuck Pagano and what he did, but are you seeing in the early going here the boost you were kind of hoping for or looking for that kind of just change gives you and Sean Desai, somebody who was a rookie coordinator, and has he given you kind of like I said, the boost that you probably were looking for, or sometimes happens just with change?
Yeah, I would say, Mark, number one, you guys know how much respect I have for Coach Pagano and what he's done to this league and this game, and who he is as a person and a coach. And for him, just to appreciate him being able to retire on his own and do what he wants to do is pretty awesome. But at the same point in time, Coach Chuck would tell you that him leaving also presents an unbelievable opportunity for Sean. And what a great story for a guy who's worked his tail off to get to this point. And he's done it in the same organization. Sometimes you see young guys that work and then they move to different places, and you have to build new relationships. He has a lot of relationships as a quality control coach, as a position coach, that now in a different role, you have to, be in charge of everybody. And what I think Sean has done that's kind of behind the scenes that you guys can't see out there on the practice field is I think he's done a really good job coaching the new coaches and the coaches that are currently here, and explaining to them what our team and his defensive standards and expectations are going into this year. And you probably feel that a little bit out of practice. We feel it in the building. We feel it out there. Now, the biggest challenge is when it is new, it's kind of like that honeymoon, is now you got to make sure there's zero complacency and you're not just going through the motions. And I think you're feeling that right now in 2 short days with our defense. Getting the guys out there obviously helps. But now when we get to training camp, we got to have that every single day, that excitement, that energy, and no fakeness, and they got to be out there and playing hard. And there can be, guys just playing. I think you feel that right now with Sean. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Matt, with the off-season program almost over, Where is Andy Dalton at in terms of learning your offense? Do you feel like at this stage, since you've had the OTAs and everything, that he has a pretty firm grasp on the stuff you're going to want to run this season?
I do, Jeff. I really think that that's the thing that really helps him going into this, is that it's like him. Basically, I only know one language, but for those that know multiple languages and can speak in different languages, for him, all he's doing is just learning what our verbiage is. And now he's able to, the football side, once the ball is snapped, what's happening with the routes, what's happening with his feet, what's happening with timing, like all of that has been really pretty simple for him. That goes with the experience that he has. Some of the stages that we're at right now, which is very normal for a rookie that we're going through with Justin, he's already conquered that, meaning Andy. So now he's seeing things like, for instance, today we had we did some 2-minute. And we had a play called in 2 minutes at the line of scrimmage, and he flat out just got to a completely different play, and it worked, and it got us a first down. And I think that's where you see something on defense, you get out of a play that you don't really like, and you get into a play that you like, and then you convert it. There's a lot of ownership there, and it's easy for him. Like, that's natural. That's not something that we sit there and applaud him 100 times a day because he did it. Like, that's supposed to happen. And so the offense he has completely, I mean, he really has it down. So I think now it's just trying to come to us and tell us what he likes, doesn't like, and now we fit all that together.
Larry?
Hey, Coach. Fans are coming back this season. How noticeable was it last year with no fans, and how much of an advantage, and how excited are you about that happening again this year?
You cut out for me. Huh? Oh, say it one more time. I couldn't hear you. You were cutting out.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I was just asking you about the Bears announcing that Soldier Field is going to return to full capacity with the fans. So I just wanted to know, how much did you notice last year with no fans there, and how much of an advantage is it for you to have a full house?
Oh yeah, no. Number one, it's awesome news for us that that's the case for our fan in our city. I mean, our fans, when they get going, and just I think back to, in particular for me, selfishly, in 2018 when we were in that playoff game against the Eagles, it just gives you chills to think what that atmosphere was like, and how crazy it gets, and the passion that they have. And so now when you have that, and everybody from a year off of not being in the stands, now they get to come back. Are you kidding me? It doesn't get any better than that. So the players, the coaches, we all feed off of that. And it's such an advantage when you're at home, for the defense being able to, they love that. And we just, last year, when you're trying to get your own fans going on the sideline, your own players are cheering like a high school game on the sideline, it's quiet and it's just different. But now to have our fans back, that's beautiful news. And I know our fans are going to be pumped and excited. And now it's our job to go out there and put a great product out there so that we can make them cheer, and get excited and use it as an advantage.
Marcus?
Hey, Matt. I thought you were pretty clear yesterday in laying out your quarterback depth chart, and it's easy to understand why, you'd want Justin to get the more valuable reps at number 2, but it seems to leave one question. We all hope that Dalton's healthy all year long, but if for some reason Andy wasn't available week 1 or week 2, does this mean that Justin automatically gets his first start, or do you then have to reevaluate the depth chart?
So I'd say 2 things to that. So number one, as you all know, and I understand too, like that when you draft a quarterback in the first round and you trade up and get the guy, I completely understand the questions that are going to come, each day, and just kind of wanting to know who's the guy going to be at this day or that day, or this week or that week. And so I get that. And to answer your second question, I would say this: when you're the number 2 quarterback, and in that situation that you're presenting to me, then yes, he would be the guy. But when you talk through this, that's where it's like, these quarterbacks, all 3 guys, just because they're in that spot right now, we've explained, and I specifically have explained to each one of those guys, that you're doing everything you possibly can to be as competitive as possible and be the starting quarterback and the best quarterback you can be for the Bears. And so I'm taking a little bit of time here to say this, because I know that these questions could go on and on each and every day, but out of just politeness from me and respect, as we go here moving forward, I'm just going to, like, I'll give you updates as we go as to how the guys are doing. But as far as the depth chart goes, this is where we're at with Andy as the 1, with Justin as the 2, with Nick as the 3. But all 3 of those guys know that you need to produce, you need to play well, you need to compete, you need to be the best quarterback you can be. And then it's going to be really pretty easy for us to be able to see who that is and how that goes. And then there'll be a process and a plan. We're going to stick to that. It's not going to change tomorrow. That plan's not going to change tomorrow. The plan is not going to change in training camp. The plan is a plan, and it's been thought out. And so as we go, I'm just taking some time on this question because I think, this could go every day. And I just want you to know that's kind of, as we go here, where I'm at, and so depth chart wise. Yep. But to go back to your original question, Hub, if that was the case, yes, then Justin would be our starter.
Thanks, man. I'm done asking, by the way.
No, you're good.
Off the list. Thank you.
Sorry if I took up a little bit of your time
No,
there, but I want to
great
get that
answer.
clear.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Matt. First things first. Thanks for using
You
field
got
3.
it.
Look good today.
You got your field.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about 2 young guys in competitions. First, at left tackle, Tevin Jenkins, how he's looked, especially the past couple days with some of the defensive starters there, especially working with their ones. And then your feel for cornerback and how Kindle Vildor is maybe asserting himself here at minicamp.
Yeah, both guys have done well. I think for Tevin, being able to line up now with the ones and see what that's like being, on the left side and getting to go up against some of these experienced vets. You get some communication with Cody. Again, it's hard because there's no pads. So what we're telling, just so y'all know, what we're telling the defense is you got to take 3 hard steps and then you got to pull up. You can't, there's no bull rushing. You can't lower your head. So it's not really real, but we can at least get the burst and they can work their feet. Tevin is doing a really good job of trying to get down the fundamentals of what Coach Juan teaches and put it together. And then when we get to training camp, the pads come on, they just start doing one-on-ones. You can really, truly see where these guys are at. He's not the only one. It's all the guys. Kindle, same thing. Like, these guys are not allowed to press. You can't come up and press. You got, there's not a lot of man that goes on. It's a lot of zone, and that's just what the rules are. But when you're anticipating, when you're playing within the defense, when you're playing with confidence, you're making plays on the ball, which he's always had ball skills. You play faster and the game slows down, and we're seeing that. And we need that from him. I was talking to one of the coaches today, right towards the end of practice, the special teams. And one of the coaches said, they said to me, man, it is really clear that there's one thing that's kind of stood out this year in these brief days, is that there's a lot of competition at a lot of different positions right now with this team. And when you have that luxury, that means that guys are really, going after it, and they're competing, and they're trying to make a roster spot and then make a name for themselves. And as an organization, you want that. You don't want to be having to be quote unquote stuck with somebody because you don't have anybody else. And we feel good with where we're at. So those are 2 examples of guys that we want to keep developing and growing.
Finley.
Hey, Matt, I'm curious what you want Fields to do here in the next 5 weeks. Do you want him to be all in on football? Do you want him to get away from it all? And what do you look for in a young quarterback when they do report to training camp? Will you be able to tell if he's been studying, if he's been putting in work over the next 5 weeks?
Yeah, I would say this. I think that's a really good question because some people could look at it 2 different ways. And the easy answer for me, and I know what Justin would say, is that there'll be 0 getting away from football. This kid is completely locked in, and he is going to be, there's going to be football going on every day in some way, shape, or form, whether it's studying or whether it's footwork wise, whether it's talking into your phone and calling a play, hearing what you sound like. Some guys say it, they boondoggle through things and they just decide that, they just act like they do it. There's none of that going on. There's going to be a purpose, and it's going to be real. He's going to do that. And for us to have that with him, I mean, I'm excited to see when he gets here in training camp, really the growth that he has in those few short months. And not just him, but Andy as well, and Nick, knowing where Nick was last year. But to see Justin develop and digest the game should slow down. And I think Justin would be the first to tell you it's going to be football 24/7. Everything else, just go to the side. We don't care about it. We're going football 24/7.
You want him to talk into the voice recorder on his phone? Is that, and then listen back to it and make sure his inflection's right?
Yes, exactly that. So, he'll, and then send it to us, right? So he's just got to make sure he's sending it to the right people. Sometimes you hit the wrong person on a text message, you send the wrong thing. We've all done it. So he'll, that'll be some homework for him to make sure that, I know Coach Flip will have him on that, and he's working on it. But yeah, talk into it, and then we can hear it and tell you, no, you're not speaking to the right person during that word right there.
Dane Weeder.
Matt, if you just send us a save the date card on Justin's first start, we'll be all in the clear with that whole line of questioning.
Say that one more time.
I said, if you just send everybody a save the date card on Justin's first start, we'll be all done with that line of questioning. We'll be in the
No,
clear.
I hear you. And I know you guys know this, and I know everyone's excited and wants to know all the time. And I get it, but we've all talked, the quarterbacks, myself, our coaches, like, we have this plan. We know where it's at. We know how we want to do and what we want to do. And ultimately, as long as we understand that, then I just, again, respectfully just hope everyone else can appreciate that, and then we just keep rock and rolling every day, and we'll fill you in on all the good stuff and the bad stuff.
So my actual question was a year ago in the spring, you had talked about taking a different approach to the preseason games. Now that they're back on the schedule again, and you got 3 of them, I'm curious where you're at philosophically with that stretch in August.
Yeah. So I believe the same way I believe, or what my thought was and belief was last year, which was to definitely be on more of the aggressive side with the starters. I think that's important. So, now there's 3 games for us. So most likely, starter wise, probably not a lot of starters playing a whole lot the first game. I'd say more the second game, and very little of the third game type deal. I know a lot of head coaches right now are kind of talking through the best way to do that. But that's kind of where we're at, big picture right now. And we'll talk through the reps and who we have. But to me, not having preseason last year, when you're trying to evaluate who these rookies are and see and then other players too, like where guys are, man, that was hard. So now, like, I'm so excited to be able to see some of these guys that we want to be able to see play some real live snaps. I'm excited for that this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike Berman. So we'll come back to you, Mike. We'll go with Mark Grody.
Hey, Coach, I just had a quick injury question, and then one other. Noticed that Tariq Cohen was walking a little bit stiff-legged, while he was out there. Where is he in his progress? And then just how was Justin Fields today in your eyes? Was today a good day for him?
Yes. So Tariq, yeah, he had a little stiffness today, and so that's why he was out there, and you saw that. And there's going to be up and down days with these guys as they go. That's just a part of the recovery process, and they're working through all that. So and Justin, so what I thought today was a good day for him. He threw the ball well. There was a couple series here in a row in team where he made some nice throws to the sideline. He had one where he kind of kept a play extended, backpedaled, and threw a nice ball to the left to Thomas Ives. So today was a good day, and we want to keep stacking those good days up, both mentally, physically. And I haven't watched the tape yet, so there'll be some stuff that shows up, but from my perspective, I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you.
Yep.
We got time for 2 more. We're going to go Chris Emma and close out with Joe Lewis. Chris?
Matt, you've obviously been through this process like you are with Justin with Mahomes in when he was a rookie. Where is Justin relative to where Patrick was in terms of the experience coming into this point? And is it fair to say that Justin's college background puts him ahead in terms of readiness for the NFL? Does that translate directly?
So the first part of your question, I would say when Patrick at this point in time in vet minicamp to where Justin is very similar, which is great. Their personalities, football wise, football IQ, all that stuff is very similar. As on that side, their actual personalities are a little bit different, but that's the beauty of life. We all have different personalities. And I just think that right now for Justin, the biggest thing is to make sure that he's continuing to just, really listen and just get better. And then probably just, Chris, just keep asking the right questions. And I think he's doing that more and more as he feels comfortable. What was the second part, your second question?
In terms of, Justin's obviously been in the national championship stage. And
Oh,
played,
yeah, the experience.
Does that translate directly? Does that put Justin in a different place than Patrick was?
I think so, but no, not from Patrick, I wouldn't say, because they both played, they had a lot of snaps. And I don't think there's any difference there. I think with Patrick coming out, there were some people that were concerned about, the division he played in and some of the colleges and all the drop 8 that he saw in the scrambling and that sort of thing, and some of the history of other quarterbacks from those teams. But no, I think those two guys, experience-wise, and Justin's played. The one thing that Justin has is he's played in some big-time games and had big-time moments. That's the one thing that I'm seeing right now from him that is really neat, is that whether it's in practice, if there's a bad play, if a play doesn't, does it have to be called 2 or 3 times in the huddle, he doesn't get flustered. He's very, very stoic. I was telling one of the coaches walking out today, I think he'd be a pretty good poker player because he's pretty straight-faced, and that's good. That's a good thing. But we like that because you never want to get too high. You never want to get too low. And in this game, there's a lot of bad that goes on in this game, like sports in general. And I think the great athletes are the ones that can respond from adversity, and they can play a poor hand well. And that's what we want all these guys to do.
Joe Lewis. Got us, Joe?
Okay. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, how's it going, Matt?
Good. How you doing, Joe?
Pretty good. My question is about Roquan. He talked to us the other day about his leadership role and how has changed over time. What has been your evaluation of Roquan as he steps into another year in the NFL and the spotlight is on him? What has been your evaluation, how he's adjusted so far?
Sure. I'd say this. It's about actions and not words with Roquan. It's real simple. I mean, this guy, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. And when you know that, and we all know that, and he is practicing and showing up in meetings right now like he's a rookie. And it's special. It really is. And it's not talk. It's real. I mean, he's out there. Everything's 100 miles an hour. He wants to learn. He's willing to be a sponge. He doesn't think he knows everything. He's extremely motivated internally. And so when you have that, that's either you have that or you don't. And it's not fabricated. It's not false. It's very organic. And so I am so pumped to see what he does this year. And what I'm feeling right now, and I'm seeing it, is now, for him going into his 4th year, is you're really feeling him, continue to be an unbelievable leader, but really be that guy on defense, which is what we need, right? That guy in the center right there. And again, I got to give credit to Danny Trevathan too, because Danny has been in this league a long time, and he's really been an unbelievable mentor, like Jimmy's been to Cole, of really grooming him and really passing the torch to him. And when you have that happen, that's so big for organization, especially holding it down in the middle on a defense like we know in Chicago. That's real. And so Roquan's credit that, it's special right now.